everybody, welcome to TinkerVerse. So I know at the end of 2024 I did a retrospective where I said I was going to dial back on the number of machine reviews, and to be fair, I have. I have turned down quite a few review requests from other manufacturers for lasers that I didn't feel offered anything truly unique or innovative. And then AtomStack reached out to me and asked if I'd be interested in taking a look at the Kraft. The Kraft, as I was going back and forth with them, they checked all of the requirements that I put out there for them to say, I'm only going to review a machine if it meets these criteria. The Kraft does that. It's brand new to market, so YouTube hasn't been saturated with review videos already. You don't need to see me reviewing a machine that's been reviewed 100 other times, so it's new. That's great. It's Class 1. This machine is built from the ground up to be Class 1 rated. It's not just a existing platform that somebody slapped a lid on top of and retrofitted some safety switches and is calling Class 1. This is built from the ground up, integrated interlocks, fire safety, completely shielded enclosure. So from the ground up, this is built to be a safe machine. So that's number 2 on the requirements. Number 3, it is innovative. So AtomStack is first to market with this laser module. The laser module itself is not just the combination of a infrared and a diode laser into the same module. Where others are, you can run infrared or diode. AtomStack has given you the ability to run these through a beam combiner and output both diode and R at the same time. It is a very solid, sturdy, heavy machine. Everything seems to be designed well. My only real complaint is kind of the hinge mechanism for the lid. It locks when it's in the up position, but once you get about here, it falls pretty quick. So, some nice gas struts or something here would be nice. And my only other complaint off the bat is the honeycomb. It is a honeycomb bed, but there's no crumb tray under it. So as you're doing cut jobs, as bits and pieces fall into that honeycomb, there's no way to get under there and clean it out. You actually have to remove the honeycomb, which is problematic because no matter where you put the laser module in this machine, it's always in the way of the honeycomb. So to get the honeycomb out, I actually have to undo this thumb screw and take the module out of the way so that I can lift the honeycomb. Those are my only 2 major complaints about the machine from a build quality perspective. From a camera perspective, we'll talk about that a little bit later. The camera, it does have an integrated camera in the lid. Unfortunately, it leaves a little bit to be desired. We'll touch on that later. The air. So the included air module, if you can see this here, it's big, but it's big for a reason, because this is not just an air module. This is a fire suppression. It's a water-based fire suppression. Fill up the reservoir here, and what happens is the machine itself pumps water through the air tube in the event of a fire. It will start pumping that water through the air supply directly onto the area it's engraving, and and in theory extinguish the flames and prevent any major damage. So yeah, built-in exhaust here, and I actually have this ducted down to an AtomStack air filter. And the AtomStack air filter has been phenomenal. Not much to say about that. It's a box filter with stacked filters inside, high output, high fan velocity, and it's been great. The only real smell that has gotten through is when I was doing leather engraving, and there's no way to get away from the smell of leather when you're engraving. So I've got maybe 4 feet between the machine and the front of my desk, and I was able to run leather, and it didn't scare me out of the room. It didn't make me go running. I could smell it. It wasn't horrible. So the air extraction works fantastic. So that's build quality. Now, the reason you're watching this video is you want to find out about the dual mode, which is going to be the IR plus the diode, or the diode plus the IR. So it is, again, it's a 1.2 watt IR and a 20 watt diode. First thing I did is I ran a handful of material cards on some basic 3mm birch ply. This is the final result. Decent results across the board. My grayscale is nice in terms of my engrave quality for images. My line interval, or my offset was good. I didn't have any problems there. Engraving and cutting power was a little less than I'd seen from other 20 watts, but you know, it's possible that they're giving up a little bit of efficiency with the new stack design. So, you know, while some of the other 20s, sure, they may be able to go an extra line or so on the cuts, you know, this is still passable. Engraving was good. Good variation here. I went from 20 to 100% and 50 to 300 millimeters per second. So I got some good variation to work with there, and I could actually dive into that and fine tune it a little bit more. You know, simple kerf test, or not kerf tests, material flexibility tests, kerf testing. What I did see is the kerf seems to be about 0.15. So on an 8 millimeter square here, I'm at about 826, so what is that? Half of that's 13. So about 0.13 that way. And if I go this way, let's call it 8.3 right there, just because the math's easiest. That's 0.15. So that's my kerf. So, you know, on wood, does a great job. Diode only, so IR does not work on wood. IR just doesn't work on most like organic, you know, fibrous materials like this. So doing the IR test and the Diode+IR test, or the Diode+IR test, gave me the exact same results. So, you know, the addition of the infrared on wood, there's no noticeable difference there. Next up, I did some everybody's favorite black acrylic. Now, black acrylic is where this machine started to really kind of show off. So we'll see, you know, that's going to be diode only. And some decent variation, some good depth there, but not a lot of frosting, not a lot of color. I went to IR only. IR only, I started to get some of that frosted, you know, look to it, some of that color, and a really nice taper overall as you look up through here. So there's a good variety, but there's no depth to it. This is pretty much just surface marked, whereas the diode, I was getting, there's depth here. There's actual material removal. The IR was just surface marking. Again, it's 1.2 watts. Now, combine the two, and you get not just material removal, but you get marking as well. Now, I could have gone faster, and I could have gotten a better gradient out of this. I didn't need to go all the way down to, you know, 100 at 100 millimeters per second at 100%. I could have started somewhere up in this range and gotten a little bit better gradient out of it, but it shows that, you know, I get material removal from the diode, and then I get the frosting from the IR. So it actually is hugely noticeable when dealing with black acrylic. From there, I went to stainless, and stainless is really where I wanted to see what this thing could do. You know, stainless is, diodes react to stainless. They heat it, anneal it, discolor it, and you get some good coloring and stuff like that with the diode. Infrared, obviously, even better. Infrared, you can actually, you know, start to etch it. So you're not just getting, you know, color annealing on the top, you're getting some etching thrown in there as well. And then the ability to take the diode plus the IR is where I really wanted to take a look. So if we look at the first one here, down here, that was diode only. And, you know, it's decent. I got a little bit of drop off here, and I don't know what's going on with that from an you know, it's not really an overscan issue. So I'm not sure what introduced that, and you can see that a little bit here again on this one. So I've got to play with the settings. I may have just been going a little too fast for the machine. I'm not sure. So that was diode, and then I did an IR test, and these are raster images. So this is a raster image of Steamboat Willie, same as the hat here, and you know, I just dumped it in there, and I grabbed their box settings out of their material library for stainless. So the first three engravings I'm going to show you are right out of their material library. I didn't change anything. So again, that's the diode. The IR was fantastic. I mean, the color that I got out of that, and I did nothing to process this. That's what we ended up with. So, you know, fantastic results on the IR, but this took almost 30 minutes because with the stock settings for IR, the line interval is 0.01, whereas diode is 0.1. So it took about 10 times longer to run that on IR only. And then we get into the first attempt at diode, the dual, Diode+IR. And I got some odd results here. So, you know, I'm not sure what happened. You can see not only is the diode falling off, but I think I was going, the IR in their stock setting was set to like 1. So I don't know what it was doing, and it obviously wasn't right. So I chalked this up to just bad settings, bad, you know, configuration. And so I went back in and I did some tweaking, and I bumped the IR up to like, I think 100%, and ran it again. And this is the results I got the second time around. So what's nice about this, it's not as much color as IR only. I mean, here you can see those oranges and the reds. There's not as much color, but this was also only about a 5 or 6 minute job versus a 30-minute job. So I could tweak these settings even further. If I had enough of these plates to sacrifice, I could, you know, probably get even better settings out of this. But for only my second time running dual there, it's not too shabby. I'm sure I could dial it in, slow it down a little bit, get some more color out of that, and find the good compromise, you know, diminishing returns, basically, how long it takes versus the quality of the results. I'm sure I could find a happy middle ground and get some fantastic results out of the dual. Hey guys, I want to interrupt this video just for a second. If you're not subscribed, would you please just take a second, go down, click the subscribe button, and click the little notification bell so that you get notified when new content drops. In addition to that, at the end of this review, if you actually are interested in purchasing the AtomStack Kraft or anything else from AtomStack, I would greatly appreciate it if you'd use the affiliate link down below. I go through quite a bit of material, as you're seeing, as I'm doing these tests, not just machine reviews, but as I'm doing projects and tutorials and going through, you know, content for you guys. I'm burning through different stock, whether it's metals, woods, acrylics, and some of these are getting a little bit pricey, and it helps me out and helps the channel out greatly by having you be subscribed, so that I get my content to a wider audience, as well as some of the affiliate links that are associated with some of these videos. So if you would be so kind, that would be great. If not, you know, feel free to continue enjoying the content on this channel. So let's get back to it. But, you know, that shows that on stainless steel, the dual laser actually, you know, gives you some good benefit and some good variety to play with. If you've got time, sure, go IR only. If you're trying to, you know, maximize or optimize your workflow, that dual, there's something there. There's something worth exploring some more there. So let's take a couple things that didn't work. Brass. Diode doesn't care about brass, so all you get is IR, and I would really have to slow it down to get a good etching there, and all it is a surface etching. So, you know, brass is going to be IR only, which means there's no impact of the laser or the diode or the dual. Same with untreated, uncoated aluminum. This is just straight aluminum sheet. That is from the IR laser. This was actually IR and Diode+IR. And what happens is the S&E here, you know, in theory should look different, but they look exactly the same. So it was only the IR doing the work there. Circuit board wafer. So this has got the conductive surface plating on a honeycomb or, you know, a wafer type material. Normally you'd ablate away the surface material and leave just your conductive traces. While it does look pretty, it's not powerful enough to ablate away that material. That is only surface etched. So honestly, even if I did, you know, 20, 30 passes, I'm not sure I would get down far enough for that to be effective on a circuit board. So if you're looking for something for circuit boards, this is probably not it. Anodized aluminum business cards, one of everybody's favorites. You'll see here the top one, diode only. It basically burned away the anodized coating and left just the nice shiny aluminum underneath. And if you remember, diode doesn't affect aluminum, so no matter what happens, you know, I'm just going to get the shiny aluminum. IR, because it starts to frost the aluminum, you know, you start to get that kind of that white frosted coating. But if you go too powerful, which I did on this, and it may be hard to see on the video, you start to get scorch marks and you start to get some burn lines in there. Diode+IR, I was able to speed this up, and basically the diode quickly removed the coating and left me with a nice frosted look from the IR. So again, this is another really good use case for the dual beam combined dual laser, because you get, you remove the material and you give yourself a nice little frosted look. That's better, in my opinion, than just the straight shiny text from diode only. So good use case there. Two more that I played with. Silicone watch bands. Maybe hard to see on here, but basically, yeah, you can kind of see it there. Diode only. So on the small side, I tried to do the diode, the IR, and both. You'll see that the middle IR didn't mark at all, and there's no difference between the bottom and the top. So I did a diode only run, a little bit thicker. Let's see. Yeah, and it's all right. It's you just got to go back and clean up some of the meltiness that you get, but it did the job from, but diode only for that. And then the last piece of material that I was playing with was leather. So this is white, genuine leather. This isn't like a leatherette. This isn't like the cheap, laser safe, this stuff. Which is good. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that, but this is, I happen to have a bag of real, you can see on the back, it's real leather. And so after a couple of attempts, after a couple attempts at settings, I was able to kind of get everything dialed in. I was getting some really fantastic results. So diode only, removes material and leaves you with a carved out, but not quite like blackened, not dark engraving. IR gives you a surface etching only. There's no depth to this. It is just a discoloration of the surface. When you combine the two, you get this really, really nice dark engraving. So of all the things that I've tested, stainless steel has been great, was fun. This is probably one of the, best, short of my UV laser, this is probably one of the best results I think I've ever seen on leather. So if you do a lot of leather work, this machine's fantastic. I didn't do any cutting though. I'm sure it will cut, just judging by the depth I got out of a simple engraving. I'm sure it will cut, but again, 20 watts, so you might have to, keep in mind to, go a little bit slower. But from an engraving perspective, yeah, that's a sweet spot there. Is the beam combined diode IR a gimmick? That was the question that I wanted to answer when I agreed to review this machine. Is it a gimmick or is it useful? I will say that for certain use cases, it is absolutely beneficial. There are going to be materials out there, and I'm sure there's a ton of them that I'm not thinking of or don't have on hand to, sacrifice, because I'm sacrificing all these materials to this testing, which, it costs me money, but I'm willing to do that to put these through its paces, not only for my needs, but to, help inform you guys. So there may be a lot of other really good use cases for this out there that I just don't have on hand. But for what I tested, its performance on wood is on par with most diode lasers. If you want to start introducing mixed materials, if you want to start doing projects that maybe have, something like my knives, if I want to do something like this that has, the metal of the blade and a wood handle, being able to flip-flop between IR or even dual mode for the metal and diode for the wood, and be able to run this all as one job without having to stop and make tool changes or anything like that. There are some fantastic use cases out there for the switchable diode and IR, and then the beam combined obviously gives it that additional. So is it gimmicky? No, I think for the right use case, it's a fantastic option, and I think that it will get better. I think, potentially AtomStack will make this better if we look at the evolution of lasers in the past. So anyway, I expect an evolution on this technology, but AtomStack being first to market with that, I give them full props. This has been a really fun machine to play with. I'm kind of dancing around the camera a little bit. it has a camera. I'm not thrilled with it. I have done multiple, and I'm looking for some of my waste boards. You know, I've done multiple camera calibrations and variations on camera calibrations, and you know, in Lightburn calibrating it with the included circle pattern and stuff like that. I've done everything I can think of to calibrate this camera, and they give you a very specific square inside that says, you know, the camera's only good within this boundary. And when you use their studio software, it gives you a blue dotted line that says this is where your camera focus is the best. I have yet to get an accurate result with it. Using Studio, it's off by, you know, anywhere maybe 7-10 millimeters X and Y. It is not where I put it. You know, I tried to engrave, and one of the reasons I stopped engraving this at one point, you know, this Mickey here, up top, I positioned that with the camera. He should have been, he should have started way down here. There's no reason he should have started all the way up here and all the way to the outside. So, you know, the camera was off there. The camera in Lightburn, oh boy, yeah, it's bad. The fisheye warp is, even after calibration and alignment, or alignment and calibration, the fisheye is so bad that unless you're dead center right under the middle of this lens, circles become oblong, egg, weird shapes, even a few millimeters out to either side or up and down to either side. So I cannot get the fisheye dialed out of this. I mean, I've had some fisheye lenses that I have been, yeah, they're usable within maybe 100 by 100. I just can't get there with this, and I don't know why. And I'm going to work with AtomStack to find out, you know, if there's something we can do to make that better, because at the end of the day, having a good camera is a nice to have. Does it affect the quality of the machine or the, you know, the capabilities of the machine? No, because they also include a crosshair that you can configure. So you put a crosshair in with an offset, and you can do your framing with that, or you can turn on, you know, the diode so that you can see the laser dot when you're framing it, and you just rely on framing for placement. And that's what I've been doing. I've been I set it to current position most of the time, and I kind of put the laser head where I want it and just say go. You know, rather than dealing with absolute coordinates right now. So, you know, I'd like to see the camera system improved, and I think that they know that there's a problem with the camera because of all of the different, you know, warnings they give you about size constraints and position constraints and all that stuff. So I think that's about as good a place as any to wrap up the review on this machine. You know, again, if you like what you see and you're thinking about getting a Kraft, please, you know, use the affiliate link that's down below in the description. You know, hopefully this review was helpful to some. I know, you know, reviews aren't the most glorious thing that happen on this channel, but, you know, they're a necessary thing to support the ability for me to show you new technologies and use them as I go forward. And so, you know, I'll hang on to this machine and use the dual mode laser as I learn more about it, and be able to present that in tutorials or projects as an option. So just a quick note regarding the machine reviews. You know, referencing back to the beginning of the video, I talked about the criteria to get a machine reviewed on this channel. I do want to add that I have probably 2 more that I'm going to review in the next several months, maybe sooner, maybe later, I'm not sure the timing. But one of them is specifically being reviewed to give away to somebody. I'm taking the machine in. I didn't necessarily want to review it at first, but the company claims that it's a good competition for my Xtool P2. It's a CO2 laser, does curved engraving, stuff like that. So I'm taking that in to do a review, primarily so that I can gift that machine to somebody in particular. So, you know, it's kind of a good cause reason for doing the review. And then the second one is a 60 watt JPT MOPA fiber laser to kind of upgrade and replace my 20 watt back here. As I'm getting into more and more fiber usage tutorials, I want the more powerful laser to really explore and provide opportunities to show off what the more powerful lasers can do. So just, you know, a heads up that yes, there will be a couple more reviews coming. And it's not because I'm trying to bring in all these machines to review because I want to review machines. They're for very specific needs. So, you know, please bear with me as those pop up. If you're not watching the TinkerVerse for machine reviews, you don't have to watch them. I completely understand. You know, hopefully I'm helpful. You know, these are helpful to somebody when you're making decisions in your hardware. And, you know, it provides me the tools to provide tutorials back to you guys based on specific configurations. So, again, thank you guys for watching, and, you know, we'll catch you in the next video.